Thank you very much and welcome to another edition of Any Black Questions, Colour Telly's debating forum here at the British Library for the second time. Let me introduce you to our guest tonight. Ladies first, to my left, Jan Etienne, who's a former Labour parliamentary candidate in 2005. She's now seeking selection for the safe Labour seat of Walthamstow this year. How far have you got so far, Jan? Are you going to win? Does it look like it?
It's looking very good at the moment. This is the only final remaining women-only shortlist, and I'm hoping for the very first time that a black woman comes through.
Well, so are we, but is there anything we can do to edge that future along?
Well, anybody that you know who's a member of the Labour Party in Walthamstow,
okay.
Anybody, send them my way.
No need for parliamentary broadcast just here on Colour Telly, of course. To my right, directly to my right, he looks like Leo Mohammed, but unfortunately Leo Mohammed is stuck in Chicago tonight. However, in his place, at very short notice, is Dayo Abi Farin, who runs the Parkside School in Tottenham, which is a black private school. I know you don't like to use the word black, but essentially it's a black private school in Tottenham, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, more or less.
Right, and how did you come to run Parkside School?
Well, my son had been there as a pupil, 2000. About 2 years later, the head teacher was looking to close the school down. Because of where he is anyway, about 60% of the parents there were black parents. So 5 of us got together, decided rather than the school closing down, we'd actually take over the school. And so we did that 5 years ago. For various reasons, we dwindled down to just myself about 2-3 years ago. And yeah, it's been going from strength to strength.
Well, hopefully you can tell us about running a black private school in a moment or two. To my far left is really the poet of our generation here in the UK. He's a very modest man, but I'm sure you all know him already. He's been an inspiration in my life. I've had the pleasure of meeting him on several occasions, even played behind him once, so not quite with him. Linton Kwesi Johnson needs no introduction from me. As well as being a poet and a recording artist, Linton has also been very effective politically as a member of, or one of the leading lights of the Black Panthers here in the UK, as well as one of the motivators for the Black Workers Movement, the Race Today Collective, the Black Parents Movement, Creation for Liberation, New Cross Massacre Action Committee, the George Lindo Action Committee, and the Roger Sylvester Action Committee, amongst many other numerous things. So you're more of an activist than a poet, really?
I don't think the two things are comparable.
They're not comparable?
No.
But which is your day job, which is your night job?
Neither. I'm a reggae musician, that's how I make my living.
A reggae musician? The last time I spoke to you, you said, look, I'm fed up of all this music.
Well, I'm trying to retire.
To being a poet.
I'm trying to retire.
But it's too lucrative a post to retire from, is that right?
No, it's just that people keep asking you to do things, and you know you've been in the habit of saying yes, so you find it difficult to say no.
How many times did I have to ask you to do this tonight before you finally said yes?
Once.
I'm honoured as it is. Okay, to our right, somebody else who needs no introduction whatsoever, Lee Jasper. He's the Mayor of London's Special Advisor. I've known him again for many years. Started out as more of a kind of a ragamuffin political activist, let's be fair, Lee. But now you're sitting at the top table. You're sitting at the top table with the Mayor, Ken Livingstone. And you might remember that Trevor Phillips, who was our guest last week, when Mayor Ken Livingstone asked him to be his deputy, he said, no way am I going to play second fiddle to the white man. He said something in those veins, but of course, you're not playing second fiddle to anybody, are you?
No, I wish I was on last week when Trevor Phillips was here. I could have vented my spleen, but it'll be a much more softer interview as a consequence of your wonderful guest that you have here this evening, Dutton. So glad to be here.
Glad to have you all here. Thank you very much to all our guests. Okay, let's spark this up immediately. You know the format. The questions come from the floor. Our guests don't know what the questions are, neither do I, in fact. Let's take the first question from Jenny O'Connor, who I believe is a lecturer at Middlesex University. Jenny O'Connor.
I think the question's primarily, but initially, directed at Lee Jasper. What measures has the Mayor's office taken to encourage black businesses to tender for contracts generated by the 2012 Olympics, or is it just going to be jobs for the boys?
Ouch. Lee Jasper is the mayor tended to secure jobs for the local communities as far as the 2012 Olympics is concerned, or is it jobs for the boys?
Well, you know, that's a fabulous opportunity. We won the Olympics on the basis of the amount of black people in London. Let's not beat around the bush. The fact that we are one of the world's most diverse cities appealed to the Olympic Committee to such an extent that we won the Olympics. So on the day that the Olympics were won for London, I sent an email to Ken saying it is diversity what won it, the sort of takeoff of the Sun headlines after the Falklands War. And I still believe that. And as a consequence of that, you know, legacy is important. The legacy that is left behind after the Olympics, the amount of businesses that are created, the amount of employment that is created for local people is absolutely important. It's got to be one of the key legacies. And that's why we're focusing very much on opening the Olympic contractual opportunities for black businesses. And how we're doing that? Well, I think in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you'll see the launch of a website in which black businesses can log on, register their details and compete for Olympic contracts. They'll also be able to talk business to business to form consortiums to be able to bid for those contracts. I'm also setting targets for the amount of contracts I expect to see won in each of the Olympic major construction industries. And I've also created a central procurement team, Transport for London, which goes out and not just receives the information about how many black people or women that you may have employed on your site, but goes out and checks the detail and the numbers of that. I think that the other thing is, although the Olympics is very much on our high line, and it ought to be because it confirms London's status as a world city, don't forget that the city itself, the GLA itself, will spend around 3.5 to 5 billion pounds a year, every year, between now and the Olympics, given that 6 years away. We're talking about
forgive me for saying so, but you're losing us with all these figures. Why can't you just say it's a lot of money, as Silla would say?
Well, because I expect this is an intelligent audience rather than a BBC audience, and I'm trying to give them the facts according to the question that was asked. And it's a long answer, and I could go on for about another 20 minutes, but suffice to say, procurement, targeted procurement, employment opportunities, meet the buyer events, register on our website to get those Olympic opportunities, but don't forget that the city contracts are going to be worth 3 times the amount of spend that we spend on the Olympic contract between now and 2012.
But you know what? I think the question, as I understand it, it's so difficult sometimes with getting these contracts. Let's face it, London is so diverse. There are so many black contractors out there. It would have been so wonderful to have seen perhaps 50% of these contracts guaranteed to members of the black community. Projects in the community.
Why should
there
they
is
have been
so
guaranteed?
much.
Why should they have been guaranteed?
I'm putting this to you perhaps just as a challenge.
Okay, all right.
But why?
It's very competitive.
Jan,
you know these
Etienne,
groups,
why
these
should they
projects, they put in for these contracts. They get the note back saying unsuccessful. They log on to the website, go through the processes, because this is such a diverse community, a diverse city. It would have been so much nicer to see guaranteed projects targeted for black groups. That's my view.